الرحمن الرحيم والحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين وبعد. So this is the second episode for videos on self-development here on Patreon. So here in the second point in my notes, I said motivation will never carry you towards your goal, towards your goals. How many times have we listened attentively to a beneficial talk about memorizing the Quran or seeking knowledge, and we left the talk all hyped up? We went home telling everybody how we were going to be the next Bukhari. The next day when the alarm went off early in the morning, announcing the beginning of our journey, we decided that sleep was more desirable than the goal based on the motivation. Once we do finally get up, or once we do finally wake up, the motivation is gone. The hyped up attitude from the night before abandoned us. Now what do we do? And this is something that you see, I mean, we've all been this person and we've seen this person multiple times, where you go to a talk, you hear a talk, and you're motivated, and but again, that motivation is just, it fizzles out. And what do you do when it fizzles out? So here's what happens. You go to sleep, you're motivated, you set your alarm, I'm gonna get up, I'm gonna get started tomorrow. I'm gonna get to work tomorrow. And what happens? You don't have the discipline to get yourself out of bed on time. So you don't have the discipline to get up and start to get to work. So what do? You start to go back to your original self, your procrastinating self. Maybe today's not a good day. I'm going to get started tomorrow. And then the next day comes and, today's also not a good day. I'm going to start tomorrow. And it's Wednesday. Now you're like, well, it's already Wednesday. I'm going to go ahead and, just go ahead and knock out the rest of this week. And I'll get started on Monday. And then you never get anything done. You never. And it goes back to the previous video where it's like, you just got to get to work. You got to get to work. But in this aspect is that you need at least enough self-discipline. This discipline that's going to get you out of bed and get you started. Nothing that you start in the beginning is going to be easy. If you start to if you're not accustomed to sitting down and reading the Quran is the speech of Allah. And what's prevented you all this time from reading the speech of Allah on a regular basis? Your sins. It's your sins. This is not something that these other motivational speakers are going to tell you. And this is not something that you're going to read in these self-development books. But this is the truth, and this is the reality. Why is it that you can't get out of bed at 5 o'clock or 4 o'clock in the morning and pray Fajr and read Quran? Why? What's keeping you? Your sins. Okay, so now, what do you expect now when you start to read the Quran? Do you expect it's going to be easy? It's going to be very difficult because you're weighed down with those sins. But guess what? Here's the good part. As you're reading, that you're getting ashara hasanat for every harf that you're reading. And you also, you can make dua, you start making dua, for tawbah, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive you for your sins. And you start to do other actions to get these sins wiped off. And guess what? Day after day, you keep pushing yourself and driving yourself to do this, and then it gets easier, and it gets easier, and it gets easier, and you start to, now this becomes a part of you. This becomes your lifestyle. You're reading the Quran every single morning, it becomes your lifestyle. Reading hadith every day becomes your lifestyle. It's something that's just like, it's a part of you. It's like, just like you're eating and drinking and sleeping. This now is a part of your life, an essential part of your life. You can't do without. So the majority of the people, they never get to this point because they're relying on that motivation to carry them. That motivation is not going to carry you if you can't push yourself and get yourself up out of bed to do the necessary actions that you have to do to get started. And if you keep procrastinating, you're never going to get anything done. You have to be, from amongst the sabiqeen, the bil khairat, the people that go out and they're like, the first in line to do these good actions. So when you hear these types of talks and and you get all motivated, don't think that motivation is going to carry you. And this is the most important thing, because you still got to get up and get to work the next day. You got to get started. And that's going to be the hardest thing. You got to, and like I said, maybe for the first 90 days, it's just you're going to be dragging yourself. There's going to be days where you get up and you read what you have to read, and it just flows out of you like water. Then there's other days, like I remember I was joking with my son the other day. I mean, I was like, I didn't finish the second juz that I was supposed to read that day until Maghrib, because I was feeling so sick and so tired that I would read like a surah, and then I'm like, Come back like an hour later, read another surah, maybe surah Tain. But eventually I got it finished, but it took me all the way up until after Maghrib to get it finished. So it says, but making sure I'm not going to leave this day until this portion is read. This is this is my priority. Everything else is secondary, but this right here has to get done. This has to get done, and I have to make myself do it no matter what. And this goes back to the last video where I said don't get caught up on these schedules, because again, my goal is to get up in the morning and read this in the morning. But what happens now when I'm not feeling good? My throat's sore, or something, whatever's going on. Now I'll read it throughout the day. But the important thing is you get it done. These are the things that I have to get done, and that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get them done, and that's why for myself, I rely more on checklists than schedules. I don't care about schedules because you can't, especially I'm a single father right now, and I also got a child who's sick. He's got diabetes who requires attention. I'm on his schedule, whatever he's doing. So I can't write up, what happens now if I can't stick to my schedule? I get nothing done. No, you get the things done, but you got to get them done based on priority. Like, this is the most important, this is the most important. I'm going to get this done no matter what. And if I have time, then I'm going to get this done. And then if I have time, but then you go down the list of priorities. You're trying to get them all done, but if you don't, at least you get the main thing. But you got to make yourself do that every day. That's something that you got to push yourself, and that drive, the passion, all these types of things that people talk about, it has to be there for you to get out of bed the next day and start to get in and just get to work, because you're not going to feel like it. In fact, probably for the first 2 weeks, you're not going to feel like it. Then you'll start to feel like it some days, and you won't feel like it the other days. But regardless, you have to push yourself. You have to push yourself. The days that you really feel good, you got to put a leash on yourself, because you want to do too much and you don't want to burn yourself out. So you have to actually control yourself to not do more than what this is what I said I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. I get up, I'm going to read 2 juz of the Quran every single day. That's what I'm doing. All right, but this day I feel very energetic. I want to read 5. I might read 5 today, but now my voice be messed up or something messed up tomorrow, and I don't feel like even reading the 2. No, you read the 2. And then the next day 2, and the next day 2, and then over time, then you keep building on that 2.5, 2.5, 2.5, 3, 3, 3, 3.5, 3.5, 3.5, and keep building on it, and keep building on it. And and then it starts as you go along. Like I said, it's never going to get easy, but it becomes such an essential part of your life that you can't imagine life without it. So you just do it. You just get up and you just do it. There's going to be days that you want and days that you don't, and probably the days that you don't want to do it are probably going to be more. Especially when you're constantly repeating the same stuff over and over again. Sometimes you're in it, sometimes you're not. Sometimes you can't even focus. Sometimes you might recite 5 surahs from the Quran, you don't even remember what you recited. But you get just whatever. You just make sure you get it done that day. Just get it done. I mean, that's just life. You're not going to, if you're sitting there waiting for the best day, or you're waiting for the best time, or, you're waiting to feel good, you're never going to get nothing done. Nothing. Motivation's garbage. All this waiting for the perfect moment is garbage. You have to just have to say okay, look, here's the alarm. Get up and get started. والله المستعان وإلى هنا سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك